Hello again, and welcome to part 2 of your virtual tour of St Clement. In this part we look at some of the other things around the building and what people wear when they're leading services at St Clement's. Enjoy! What do we have here? What does it look like? This is one of the pieces of furniture in the church that has a name that is unique to it, where you may have heard about it when it comes to typing things up. Any ideas what it might be called, or what it might be used for? Those of you who've guessed font, F-O-N-T, are correct. Not to be confused with the style of how letters are formed. But what's it look like? What does it make you think of? Did you say or think sink? Well, that's something I often think of for it. In a way, it's quite true. But can you see anything around it like a sink at home? How do you get water in it? At home, with a sink, you might turn the taps on and then turn them off when you've had enough water. Here, we have to do something else and bring it in a jug. So during a service of a baptism, there'll be a welcome for the family, there'll be a cross put on the forehead of the baby, or the toddler, or the adult, to be baptised. And then we'll fill the font with water. Unlike the sinks at home with taps, here comes the water. A prayer is said over the water to set it aside for the purpose of baptism. And then the person who's to be baptised will be asked for their name, and then the water will be splashed over their head. So, for example, we'll take, let's think, Alfie. Alfie baptised in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, with the water put over the child's or adult's forehead. Now, as a sink, we would normally be doing what? Washing our hands. This has some similarity, but we aren't washing our hands. We're sort of washing our souls, the bit of us that lasts beyond life on earth. With a sink at home, what stops the water from running out? You're right, a plug. Now we'll take a different shot in a moment, and then I'll show you how tiny the plug is, considered how big the water part of the font is, and we'll listen carefully to the sound the water running away makes. It's quite a big bowl in that font. It's my fingertip to my elbow, roughly, and depth-wise, it's from the tip of my big finger to my hand there. But what a tiny plug! As I pull it out, listen to the sound that the water makes as it goes away. And there's the tiny plug to keep it all in or let it all out. Let's take a look at this piece of furniture in the church. What might it make you think of that might exist in your home or at school? Flat surface and 4 legs linked together in this case. I think it might remind you of a table. And in a way, it is a table, but we have a different word for it here in church. It's an altar. Altar. And here very special things happen. It's a focus point for lots of our church services when people gather for worship in God. It Might be in front here, a bride and a groom will be kneeling on their wedding service. Might be the focal point for our communion service or Eucharist. The great thanksgiving, as its full English word would be, where we give thanks to God for Jesus' life and share in taking the bread and the wine, his commandment for us to do as often as we can to remember him. When it's the bread and the wine, the priest will then stand here and say prayers over the bread and wine that's been brought forward, set it aside, and then we'll distribute it to the gathered congregation. When communion or the Eucharist is celebrated, there might be some silverware on the table, one something like this. I wonder what that makes you think of that you might have at home. I often think of a plate, but this has got a very special word. It's called a paten. On there, the bread will be put. And this. It looks a bit like a wine glass. Well, it's not far off. It's got a very special name though. It's called a chalice. And the wine which gets distributed will be in there. I bet that caught your attention. That little bell is in the lower hall. It gets rung to indicate to people that the service in church is about to begin. Let me hand over now to my colleague Reverend Ken. He's going to talk through some of the clothing, quite special clothing, that the priest and others wear in church who are leading the services here at St Clement.
Hello everyone, my name is Ken. I'm the vicar here and I work with Captain Phil, and he's let me do this bit of the tour around church. So one of the things you do when you go to a party, I bet, is get dressed up. So you put on your best party clothes. And so in church we have some special clothes like our uniform, which we put on when we come to our celebration in church. And usually it's someone who's got a role in the service, in the celebration, who's got a job to do, that wears the robes. So this is the first one I put on. It's called an alb, and it's just like a big white sheet. It's a blank page on top of other things. And it means I'm doing something special to God, so I want to look clean and fresh as I do this special thing in our service. And then the clergy, we put on other colours. There are 4 colours we have in church for different types of services and different times of the year. So, as I'm sure you know, one way we divide the year up is into seasons. So we cut the year into 4 and we call it spring, summer, autumn and winter. Or we might cut the year up into 12 and call them months, January, February, March, April, etc., etc. In church we cut them into different ways as well, kind of based around our telling of the story of Jesus' life every year. So the ordinary colour, the normal colour, the default colour is green. So there's green there and there's green on that vestment on that chair there. And that's the ordinary colour, the ordinary time. When we're getting ready for a special occasion, like Christmas and Easter, we wear purple for preparation. Purple for preparation, for getting ready for a big celebration. And when we have a big celebration, then we wear white or gold. Don't you see this is gold? With careful stitching and different symbols and things. So that's gold for celebration of Christmas and Easter. And then there's a few other occasions where we wear red. For Pentecost and for other occasions. And as a priest, I wear the stole like this. So you can kind of tell what kind of service we're going to have by what colour the clergy are wearing. Is it red? Is it green? gold or purple. And then if we're having a communion service, on top of this I wear a chasuble, which is one of these. And that goes right over the top, which is a bit of a palaver to put on, so I'm not going to do that now. So, green for ordinary time, purple, preparation for what we call Lent and Advent, that's getting ready for Easter and Christmas. Gold, rich colours for Christmas and Easter, great celebrations. And red for Pentecost, the fires of Pentecost, and some other things. Thanks.
Thank you, Reverend Ken. That brings us to the end of part 2. In part 3, we'll look at some still images of parts of the building we haven't shown you yet, some of the furniture, and a conversation about the word remembering, or the phrase remembering, and what a lot of the building reminds us of. Take care now. See you in part 3.